We've been stuck at the same level in business over the last few years, and we have yet to hit 8 figures in revenue. For this episode, we split up, we went our own separate ways, and we came up with the reasons why we believe we have yet to hit 8 figures in revenue.
Jeremy and I want to grow our business. We want to be an 8-figure company and that's multiple 7 figures, but we wasn't ready for that.
But one thing that me and Josh have done over the last couple of years, when I say we've dug into the wrong numbers, we look at our bank account every day.
Next level for us is growing our companies to 8 figures, having at least a 25% net profit margin within the different businesses that we're working on.
In this episode, we have a real honest discussion on why we haven't gotten to the next level. We get vulnerable, transparent, and reflect on our career up until this point. Let's tap into the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Expose and Expand podcast show. I'm the man with the plan, Jeremy Mathis.
I'm Joshua. I'm going to give you the game, Mathis, and welcome to another edition of the Expose and Expand podcast show, where we expose you to the ideas, the strategies, the struggles, the failures, the people, and the experiences that have gotten us from zero to millions.
We own $6.5 million worth of real estate that pays us close to $20,000 a month in net cash flow. We also own the real estate investment firm that wholesales properties across the country and fix and flips houses in South Florida, and that business would do between $4 to $5 million in revenue this year. We also own a real estate investment education company that teaches real estate investors how to build predictable and consistent businesses. Collectively, all of our companies together would do close to $6 million in revenue this year, but yet we feel stuck. We've been stuck in the same place that we've been in over the last 4 years. We've been stuck at the 7 figures of revenue over the last few years because of our own self-inflicted mistakes and bad habits. In today's episode, we're going to dissect all of the reasons that Josh and I believe that have caused us to be stuck in the same level over the last few years. We've defined going to the next level as getting true time freedom and getting to 8 figures in revenue and with having 25% net margins. After watching this entire episode, you're going to be able to learn all of the mistakes that you need to avoid when you're going to the next level, and you're going to be able to know exactly how to dissect your issues in your life. Let's get exposed.
And guys, before we get started, man, we always appreciate your support. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys are listening to on any of the podcast players, please hit that follow button and please leave us a 5-star review. We greatly and truly appreciate your support. But man, that was a great intro, number one. And then two, as you mentioned, man, we're looking to get to the next level. And if you guys didn't hear what Jerm said, that next level for us is growing our companies to 8 figures, having at least a 25% net profit margin within the different businesses that we're working on. So, I mean, my first question for you is like, what is one thing you think that is holding us back and hindering us?
So guys, just so you understand, I want to make it very clear today, what we've done, just so you guys, let me break that down before I answer Josh's questions. What we've done, we had a different production meeting where we said, hey, we want to tell the audience why we haven't gotten to the next level. We want to help them understand from our own perspective why we feel stuck, in hopes that they can go out, dissect their life, and figure out how they get to the next level. So our production meeting is usually at least minimum an hour. This production meeting was 15 minutes because we came up with the topic, we came up with the outcome, and then we said, you figure out your own reasons why we didn't go to the next level, and I'll figure out my own reasons as to why we haven't gotten to the next level, and let's interview each other. And Josh was like, well, what if we have the same thing? Well, we talk about it. Let's talk about it. So today, that's what you're going to see. Josh, he figured out his own reasons. I figured out my own reasons. We don't know exactly if we have the same reasons or we have different reasons. So the first reason, like as I really thought this through, the first reason why I believe that Josh and I have been stuck at the same level over the last few years is because we've had no respect for time. We've had no respect for time. And when I say that, I mean we've freely given our time to anybody that's asked for it. We've always done things that have taken us outside of the scope of what we need to be working on because we're trying to help other people. We're giving away our time and we're focusing on the wrong things when we do focus on things in time. So I think the first reason why we've been stuck over the last few years is not having a proper amount of respect for time, and not only giving it away, but also you think about it, we used to show up to things 15 minutes before we had to be there. Now we show up, if it's 8:12, we showing up at 12. And I think it's those little things that have affected us.
That was my backup plan with Jerm. That reason, not having respect for time, and I can agree with Jerm on that. Like growing up, we were always people pleasers. Everyone loved the twins. We wanted no one to hate us, and I think that's a good trait to have. But then also, like the old folks used to say, sometimes your greatest strength can be one of your greatest weaknesses, and that was a weakness for us. Right? We was always saying yes to people, always helping people, not thinking about ourselves, not putting ourselves as a priority. And we saw the results of that, right? We saw the lack thereof. We saw the non-growth that we're trying to, the growth that we're trying to experience. We didn't have that. So I agree 100% with you.
Like I remember so many times, me and you both would be working on something in the middle of something very important. Somebody would call and text us, and we felt obligated that we had to get back to them right now. We felt obligated, like we had to pick up the phone and take our attention off what we were working on and focusing on. And that was a huge mistake because we never were able to get anything done. We're in the middle of something, somebody calls you, and research says that once you break your attention and you try to get back onto something, you're going to lose at least 15 to 30 minutes just trying to get back into focus. And you think about how often that happened to us, because during the day we getting multiple phone calls that's breaking our focus, that's interrupting our pattern and our frequency. And research is saying it takes 15 to 30 minutes to get back into focus. How many times, if that happens 3 times a day, you've lost an hour and a half, 2 hours of your workday right there, just trying to get back on focus and not being productive.
I think I want to, because to that point, I want to talk about some of the lessons that I want to share with the audience. Number one is, in your life, there needs to be several seasons of no.
Yep.
Several seasons of no, I can't hang out. No, I can't let you borrow money. No, we can't link up. No, we can't get drinks. No, I cannot answer the phone. No, no, no. And you have to have those seasons where you're selfish with you're selfish with your time, because in order, you have to get to a point where you're putting yourself first so that you can reach the goals that you've set for yourself.
Agreed, 100% agreed. And I think right now we're finally in that season of no, because we got tired of being tired. Luckily for us, we've been blessed with the ability to have impenetrable will. That means we're going to keep going and keep going. And we're very ambitious and very determined. So with that, we always want to grow. We always want to see how we can get better, and just learning how to be better. You sit down and you reflect, and now we are in that season of no, and I'm happy that we're in that season of no. And it feels good for the first time in my life that I'm able to put Jern first and not feel bad about it, because so long, nobody's giving me nobody's helped me gain the freedom and the permission to say, you know what, I got to put Jern first. And that's something that I've been able to work on over the last couple of months. And I'm operating in my season of no. I'm operating in so much freedom, and it feels amazing. So if you out there listening and you struggling with being the people pleaser, get in your season of no. Operate in freedom. I'm giving you full permission to put yourself first.
One thing that Germ said to me, this was probably a month ago or 2 months ago. And, you know, like Germ said, I think we're both in that season of no. And like I said, 2 months ago, Germ came to me and he was just like, man, right now the business needs to be a priority. We need to be a priority. If we just give ourselves in the business 6 months to a year of having that as the priority, just imagine what we can create. Imagine the things that we can do, how we can grow.
We're definitely in that season of no, guys. What's one of your reasons why you believe we've been stuck at the 7 figures and not able to get to the next level?
I think it's something that we've talked about often, but we still are struggling with it, and it's a lack of focus. I think we've cut back on a lot of things, so I'm proud of us for the progress we've made, but we're not where we need to be when it comes to focus in order to get to that next level. And I'll give you guys a few examples and break that down in a minute. But I look at all the greats. You look at the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, the Warren Buffetts, and one thing that they all have in common is their extreme obsession over what they're working on. And I think for us, we've had that extreme obsession one time. When we first got started in real estate, we was obsessed with it. Every day, all day, going in like working on weekends, late nights.
Going in and out of houses.
Making things happen. We was getting ready to strap the cleaning company, and we went all in. And then at that point, that's when we started making a little money. That's when we had, really consistent deal flow because we was just on it. We was obsessed about it. But then as we began to progress, start making more money, our focus got scattered. We got shiny object syndrome. And thankfully, we have scaled back the shiny object syndrome, but still, there are things that are keeping us unfocused. So, for example, I should be focused on our education company. That's the only thing I should be focusing on. But right now, we hired a new project manager. I have to train that person. So it takes, let's call it a good month, maybe a month and a half to really onboard that person properly to make sure he has the tools and the resources to be successful. So I've lost a month and a half focusing on our education company. Jerm is supposed to be completely focused on real estate. But we said this before, the guy that we brought in to help us build our to take the podcast to the next level, he just abruptly quit. And Jerm had to step back in, and he's putting his energy in ensuring that we give you guys great episodes. But because of that, he's taking his attention off of our real estate business.
Yeah, lack of focus is, I think, outside of giving away time, has been the number one thing that have caused us to stay stuck. Because like Josh said, before we start dabbling, having shiny object syndrome, which I think happened for us about 4 years ago, we were crushing it in real estate. And we got to a point where we got money coming in. We had built out a team. So we wasn't 100% all in, and then we started looking left. We started looking right. We started looking at left and right is crypto. Left and right is Amazon stores. Left and right is Walmart stores. Trying to invest in the trucking company. So many other things that if we look back, our real estate investment company was doing good, but it was on a shaky foundation. And we left it when it was on a shaky foundation. And eventually when the foundation is bad, it may take a couple of years for it to crumble, but at some point it's going to crumble. So for us, if we would have done a better job of building a strong foundation, we would not have been where we are now, which is stuck because again, we had a bad foundation. So I think I can definitely agree that lack of focus has been one of, if not top two things that have caused us to stay stuck.
Yeah. And for you guys that are listening, figure out what it is that you want to do, and you have to get in an obsessive state about that. Obsess about only that one thing. If that's real estate investing, that's the only thing you should be talking about. That's the only thing you should be listening to. Those are the only conversations you should be having. Those are the meetings and the networking events that you should be going obsess about real estate. If it's in a creative state or whatever it is that you're focusing on, guys, obsess about it.
Facts. One of the things that you said was something along the lines of, you said something, and it got me to, it got me to this point of, it ties into what you were saying about us having lack of focus, which is us being impulsive. You said our greatest strength sometimes is our greatest weakness. And we've said this multiple times before. We know how to take action. We know how to get going. And it served us very well at the beginning. Yeah. When we first jumped, if we would have did what we see most people do, well, let me think about if I got the money. Let me think about if I got this. We never thought about if I got the money. Somebody showed us, they exposed us to a path of how we can get the money to buy our education, and we were impulsive, and we did it. We put ourselves in a bad situation. We was impulsive again, but we got ourselves out of it. Oh, it served us well at the beginning, but we haven't grown to stop being impulsive. We haven't gotten to a point where we was like, you know what? Before we make a decision, let's chill out. Let's think this through. Let's reflect on what the mission, vision, and core values are, and let's see if that aligns with what we say we wanted to do. And let's also consult with advisors and ask for help. If we would have grown to that point over the last couple of years, I believe that we would be in a much better situation, and we would not have lacked focus, because I don't think that we lack focus. We just made commitments to something. And for us, we believe that we got to keep our commitments, meaning we had a commitment to keep this podcast show going. We're keeping our commitment. We have a commitment to continue to fix and flip houses. So with us being impulsive, I think that has also caused us to have that lack of focus, which has put us in a bad situation.
Interesting perspective, interesting take. And guys, for us, man, it's just like when we was in our production meeting and we came up with this idea. This is a show that I'm super, super excited about because it forced both of us to sit down and really think about the things that are holding us back from getting to that next level. And so often we're in the rat race. You're running, and you don't take time to think, right? Take time to think about what's working, what's really working. Okay, and building a plan to make sure that that's continuing to work and giving that, the operational support and love that needs to grow, and then taking the time to think about what is not working, right? So often we get into the hustle and the bustle, and you're doing something because social media says it's right, because your mentor says it's right, but you're not actually understanding what's going on. So because of that, you can't shift left to right. You don't know if you're winning or not.
Yeah, that was really good. By the time you're giving the team some game, my boy. By the time. But Josh, guys, one thing. So my first reason was was lack of respect for time. Josh said our lack of focus, which I backed up, and I also added, in addition to lack of focus, was us being impulsive. My second full reason as to why I believe we are stuck and haven't gone to the next level is we've been looking and focusing on the wrong numbers. We've been looking and focusing on the wrong numbers. And what that means is, as opposed to really digging deep into our financials, as opposed to digging deep into our KPIs, because we would look at them, but we wasn't focused on them. We wasn't digging deep into them. But one thing that me and Josh have done over the last couple of years, when I say we've dug into the wrong numbers, we look at our bank account every day. Every single day, multiple times a day, we're looking at our bank accounts. And we've been operating our companies from our bank account and not from the financials or the metrics that we should have been operating them from over the last couple of years. We made decisions based off, we got money in the account, we got the money. As opposed to saying, have we already committed this money to projects? Have we committed this money to other things that's going to help the company grow? Have we committed this money to investments? So when you operate your business off your bank account, you don't really know if you have that money in the bank account or not. And you guys are probably listening like, how is that even possible? It's possible. It's possible because me and Josh have lived through it. So I think we've also have not shown God that we are financially prepared for us to go to that next level, that we can handle the next level of management of what it takes to produce at another level and make more money. So again, my second reason as to why I think that we have been stuck and have not been able to get to 8 figures is that we've been looking and focusing on the wrong numbers, which is our bank account, and not our financial statements and the metrics that we set.
No, that's good, and I can agree with Jerem on that, right? Because it's so often where an opportunity comes up in the business to buy a property, and it's like, let's look at the bank account. Or when it's time to make an investment into a new CRM or make a new hire, it's looking at the bank account. So that was really good. And then like Jerem said, so I don't want you guys to miss this. So often we pray for things that we're not ready for. So often we pray for things that we're not ready for. And Jeremy and I want to grow our business. We want to be an 8-figure company, and that's multiple 7 figures. But we wasn't ready for that. A lot of you guys are praying for things, asking God for things, asking God to open up doors, but you're not ready for that. And for us, we have to sometimes, I don't want to say suffer, but that's the word that comes to mind. But before we say, hey, we need to make these changes to get to where we're trying to go to. And I think about a story in the Bible where it was Moses leading the people, leading the Israelites through the wilderness. Yeah. For 40 years, them people trying to get just to the other side. Yeah. It took them 40 years to get to the other side because they kept banging their head. They kept banging their head. And I use that as an analogy because we keep banging our head. We keep banging our head. We trying to get to the promised land. We want to get there. But our actions and our habits need to align with what we're trying to get to.
You bringing it today. You bringing it today.
I gotta always bring it, man.
I don't know.
I gotta always. So, guys, my second reason on why I feel like we're stuck is it has something. It's in alignment with lack of focus. But the second reason for me is we're constantly playing defense and we're never playing offense. We are constantly playing defense and we're never playing offense because we're not focused. We're not growing the business. We're not driving the revenue that we need to drive in order to do or to make the investments we need to make. So when you're playing defense, you're constantly trying to avoid. You're being. I think when you're playing defense, is more reactive than proactive. So it's more of, hey, we've made these decisions in the business. Now some of these decisions don't align. So now it's like, okay, we got to defend those decisions, meaning we got to take money from here and put money there, right? When you're playing offense, you're scoring points. When you're playing offense, you're driving revenue consistently. You're more importantly, you're profitable consistently in your business. So for me, that's number two. We're constantly playing defense and never playing offense.
I'm trying to let that sink in when you say constantly playing defense and not offense. Because I understand what you're saying, but I kind of disagree on that. Because I think the problem is we're always playing offense. Offense means you're opportunistic. We've been opportunistic over the last couple of years. We've been going after it, chasing opportunities, putting money here and there.
Yeah, we getting first downs, but we ain't scoring touchdowns.
Woo!
We getting first downs, but we ain't scoring no touchdowns. And then what? We turn the ball over in the red zone, and defense got to come and stop the other team from attacking. So for us, what that looks like in our business is like right now, we want to do more deals. Yeah. But it's hard for us to do more deals. The lenders changed their terms, and we're playing defense. We're in constraint mode, right? We got to take money from other sources just to float, just to make sure that we can get through the deals that we have now. If we're playing offense, it's more of we can do an unlimited amount of deals. The capital is flowing. It's there.
Yeah, I hear you. I can agree to disagree on that respectfully, though.
We'll agree to disagree.
So, guys, just to recap, I said don't lack of time. I said focusing on the wrong numbers and looking at the wrong numbers. What were your two so far?
Mine was number one, lack of focus, and then number two, always playing defense and not playing offense.
I think for my third reason, I got more, but this would be my final reason, is not properly leading and delegating. Not properly leading and delegating is my third reason as to why I believe that we've been stuck. For us, what that looks like, and we've talked about this multiple times before, we fired people because of it, because of our lack of leadership. We've told you guys multiple times on different episodes about how we have to become better leaders, but us not being better leaders and us not delegating has kept us stuck. Well, number one, I don't think we've ever trained our team properly and put them in a position to win and put them in a position and giving them the autonomy that they need to go out and to score touchdowns and to put the organization in a better position. The reason why we haven't done that goes back to a lack of focus. We bring people in, they're here for 2 weeks, we show them some stuff, some quick stuff, woo, this is that, and we let them off to the wolves. We release them to the wolves within 2 weeks, but we haven't equipped them to go out there and hunt, to go out there and do amazing things. Josh alluded to it earlier when he said right now his attention is not 100% on the education company because he's training our project manager now for the last month and a half. But that's because we've learned when you onboard somebody, you got to set them up for success. So we have finally learned that. We finally implemented that. But I think that has been one of the biggest constraints to us in the last couple of years. It's not leading and not properly delegating and putting our team in a position and giving them autonomy to make things happen, giving them the room to make mistakes so that they can grow.
I agree with that. It's just not setting people up for success. And that's and a part of not setting them up for success is in the past not hiring and onboarding them properly. Right? Because if we hired them properly, meaning that we did the full due diligence on them, meaning that we did the background checks, meaning that we prepared for the interview. We went through, like, we did that due diligence. Some of these people we wouldn't have even brought on, right? And it would have saved us time and headache. So no, I agree with you on that.
Now going back to just proper interviewing, I remember we hired a sales guy. Probably our first sales guy that we hired. This is a guy that begged us for the job. I'm telling you, I could close for you guys. I could do really, really good. And then COVID come around. As soon as COVID come around, within a week, that boy say, guys, I'm quitting. Why? Because it's tough to get deals right now, and I can make more on unemployment than I can working here. If we would have probably interviewed him, we would have known he should have not been on the team. But that's just one of the things that we've had to learn in this journey. And me and Josh, I'm so grateful for our journey, because we've learned to fall in love with the journey and the process as opposed to getting to the destination so quickly. Yes, the destination is important, but one of the things that I've been able to do in my life, and something that I love, is that I've just been able to reflect on who I've become, how I'm evolving into a different person on this journey of pursuing my dreams and my goals. You hear so often, and it's so cliche, where people be like, oh man, just focus on the journey, not the destination. And if you haven't got to any point or any destination, it's hard for you to fathom that. Luckily for Josh and I, we've had so much exposure to other people that have helped us believe and know that the fun is in the journey. Enjoy who you're becoming. Enjoy just the different things that you got to go through to get to that destination. And that's something that I'm very, very happy, because one of the top things that we've done that have made us become different is we okay with being loathed and not loved. I heard this the other day. In life, you're going to either be loved or you're going to be loathed. Loathed meaning not always being the most likable person and not always being the best person for everybody, because you just can't be that. So that was a lot, but I just feel as though that was something that has really set us back. But now we're moving in the right direction.
Nah, but I don't want the audience to miss a key point that you made. Guys, you got to learn to enjoy the process. You got to love the journey, because the person that you're becoming on the journey is going to help you for what you're going to get at the destination, right? You may not be ready for what's at that destination. If somebody dropped $10 million right now in your lap, are you ready to manage that money? Are you ready to know how to, like I said, manage that money? No. So a lot of people are praying for things that they're not ready for. And a part of you getting ready for those things are just enjoying the journey and enjoying the process. And as Jerm just mentioned, like, I see the growth in us on the journey. The things that we do today are not the things that we did when we first started. Our thought process today is not what it was when we first started. But in order for us to get this thought process that we have, in order to gain new perspective, is we had to go through some things. Yeah. We did an episode, I think it was 4 or 5, where we said there's purpose behind your pain. So on that journey, when you feel like you're in pain, understand that it's building something up in you. It's building that perseverance. It's building that character. It's building all those traits and those habits that you need in order to become the person who you need to become. So my last reason, one, like I said, what your first reason was kind of my wild card, but my third and final reason is in alignment with what you just said. And I think one thing that has kept us stuck for a while is not bringing in A players. Us not bringing in A players. Now that we're finally surrounding ourselves with A players, right? With the new team that we're building, we are seeing what it's like to grow the business with A players, right? We're seeing what it's like when an A player is holding us accountable, challenging us, pushing us to grow, right? Not just being yes people and saying, hey, I don't think that's the best decision for the organization, right? These A players are helping us to just elevate ourselves as leaders. And I just see it. A players come in, they need training, but they don't need that much training. They're coming in giving you ideas. giving you new strategy, giving you new game on saying, hey, here's what we can do. At my last organization, we did this. Or when I had my own business, we did this and this worked for us. Hey, players are coming in looking to be results driven.
Yeah, that's good. I love this episode because we think different, but we think alike. Yeah. And when you said that, I was like, wow, that because I didn't even think about that. I had a couple other reasons, but that wasn't even one of my reasons. But you hit it spot on. Just to see what happens when you have great people on your team, how much freedom that you gain. It's hard for me to have anybody come into this organization that's not at my standard or above. And my standard is very, very high. And in the past, we've lowered our standard because we wanted to be likable, because we wanted to do what we thought was best for the organization. And obviously, in hindsight, we realized it wasn't. So not having those A players has definitely been a reason as to why we haven't gotten to that next level.
And then, too, I said this when we was at dinner the other night with AR. In order for us to grow as leaders, we need the brain space and the capacity to do that. When you have A players on your team, it allows you to free up that capacity, that brain space, so you can focus on other things. Now that we have A players, I'm not worried about, hey, was this house flipped properly? Was the right contractor selected? Are we being overcharged? I know I got an A player as a project manager who's taking care of that. Right now, we know that we don't have to worry about whether our expenses are correct. We have a bulldog in Lori who gonna catch the guys. What is this $78.23? Lori, book it. Nope, we gonna figure this out. But that's what happens when you have A players on your team. So now my mind is not clouded by things that are not going to help me produce revenue. I have those A players to worry about those things, so I can focus and lock in and put all my energy and my attention on things that's going to drive revenue and that's going to drive profitability for the business.
This has been a really good episode. I think it's been a really, really good episode, and I want us to figure out how we do more episodes like this where we come up with topics and then we go our separate ways and we come talk about it, because it was just to see your perspective, and then I'm sure you feel the same way to see my perspective as to why we're stuck. So I just want to recap very quickly my top 3 reasons as to why Josh and I believe we've been stuck in the same position and have not gotten to 10 to 8 figures in revenue. And number 1 is not respecting time. Number 2 for me was focusing and looking at the wrong numbers, which is looking at our bank account and not in depth at our financial statements and our key metrics. And number 3, what was my third one?
People.
Yeah. What was it? Oh, leading. My third one. I'm sorry, guys. My third one was not properly leading and delegating. My top 3 reasons.
Well, all right over there. That boy folded. Hey, that boy folded. That boy folded. Peon shorty.
I went blank. I'm like, wait. What was your top 3?
My top 3. Number 1 is not focusing. Number 2 is playing defense and not offense. And then the last reason was not bringing in A players.
That boy, you kind of folded too. Come on now.
My boy, I'm trying to make sure I said properly what you talking about. So, again, like you said, man, I really enjoyed this episode. This was fun. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor. Leave a comment. Let us know if we should do more episodes like this. And if you have something that you guys want us to discuss, please leave a comment. And we read all the comments, and we appreciate you guys' support.
We have our gentleman's agreements, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on the podcast players, hit that follow button. Leave us 5 stars because it helps the show continue to grow. Guys, share this episode with somebody so that they can get exposure and ultimately expand in their life. Expose and expand. Peace.
Expose and expand. Peace.